Is the Sony a6000 still worth using for taking photos in 2022? Let's talk about it. Alright, this is going to be a really quick video, but if you just want to know the answer, if you're thinking about buying this camera, you're about to pull the trigger, but you just want to make sure it'll be good enough for taking photos, and like this is your budget, you know, you can't really afford a higher end camera, like this is pretty much the max you can afford, yes, 100% buy this camera. It's definitely still worth picking up for photography, and it probably will be for another 5 years, so don't even worry about it. Alright, so that's basically that. If that's all you want to know, then you can go ahead and click out. I do want to show some examples of what I've been able to take with this camera, and also talk about what it can do and some of its limitations. Again, this is going to be a really short video. I have a bunch of other videos, and we'll be making a bunch more videos about the a6000. If you're interested in that, and if this video helps you out, go down to the like button and subscribe. But either way, this camera's about 8 years old now. You know, it's getting pretty old in camera years. However, in terms of Sony APS-C mirrorless cameras, Sony did so much innovation, like especially with this camera. I mean, this is one of the best-selling mirrorless cameras of all time. I mean, for years, people rave about this camera, about how good it is for its price point. You know, people have been saying for a long time that it's one of the best beginner mirrorless cameras you can get. And it's really because of how innovative Sony was. You know, they were kind of one of the first people to come on really big into the mirrorless camera game. And the a6000 was an amazing camera when it came out. However, pretty much since then, Sony hasn't done a whole lot of innovating with their APS-C line. Of course, with their full frame line, they've done some crazy stuff, especially with the a7S III and the Sony a1. However, with the a6000 series, they've pretty much all stuck at 24 megapixels, even since before the a6000, which again is an 8-year-old camera. They've had a 24 megapixel sensor. They've stuck with pretty much the exact same body design with, you know, updated dials and a few updated buttons and stuff, but for the most part the same design for the body of the camera. Now of course the video quality has gone up a little bit, you know, they have 4K video now and they shoot in log and stuff like that. But in terms of photos, there hasn't been as much of a revolution between the a6000 and the newest a6600 as there probably was between the a6000 and, you know, whatever came 8 years before that. So basically what I'm getting at is, you know, for the $250 to $350 used price point for the a6000, you're getting pretty close. I'm not going to say exactly because there's definitely some limitations, but you're getting pretty close to the photo quality that you get you know, with an a6400 or an a6600. The a6600 has IBIS and it has a way better battery for much longer battery life. You know, it has a faster burst rate for photos, higher quality screen and higher quality EVF. But again, those things are more usability enhancements. You know, those don't directly affect the photo quality as much. So the a6000 is still pretty close to those newer APS-C Sony cameras. However, there is one pretty big downfall to this camera, and that's the color science. I actually did a comparison between the a6000 and my a6400 that I used to have. I'll show that on screen now if I still have the photo comparison I did, but you can see the a6000 is so much greener and looks a lot less natural than the a6400, and that's just because of the color science. Sony has been pretty bad with their color science in the past. Of course, in their new, pretty revolutionary cameras like the a7S III, they have pretty much perfected that, and now, I mean, Sony really has one of the best color science. I'm kind of getting off track here now, but the color science is definitely a big limitation of this. However, if you do shoot photos in RAW with this camera, take them into Lightroom and, you know, do editing through there, that's not going to be as big of a deal, and honestly might not even be a problem to you at all. At the end of the day, this is a $250 to $350 camera body, so no matter what, no matter how highly I or anybody else talks about it, it's not going to compete with a new camera like the Sony a1, like I talked about, or the a7R4 or something like that. It just can't compete with those, obviously, and if you're a professional photographer getting paid a lot of money for photography, this camera will feel outdated and might have a lot of limitations that'll hold you back, and of course I wouldn't recommend it for that. However, if you're just getting in photography, if this is one of your first cameras, or even if you're upgrading from, you know, a point and shoot camera or your iPhone or something like that, this is just such an amazing starting camera for photography. At the end of the day, just be aware of its limitations, know what it can and can't do, and as long as you know that and you're okay with that, this camera can create awesome looking photos. And so can pretty much any other camera, as long as you know the limitations and know what you can do with it. That wraps this video up. I don't know if I already have it out or if this comes out first, but I pretty much made a similar video like this talking about the a6000 for recording video. So if you haven't, either check that out or subscribe to stay tuned for that video if you're interested in getting this camera for recording videos as well. But either way, that wraps this video up. If you enjoyed this, go down to the like button and subscribe. I'll have more videos about the a6000 in the future as well, so stay tuned for those, and I will see you in the next video.